Hello, welcome to Somerset News Network. This is a hard one for me to swallow. Everything that I believe in, all my political thoughts, are the same as reform. But we now find that reform is going down the same road as UKIP and the Brexit Party. I can no longer support the Reform UK Party. I didn't want to do this. I still don't want to do this. But I'm not promoting a political party that can't get its act together and embrace different ideas and different types of people. Whoever comes in, this is going to happen again. So I've withdrawn my support for UKIP. I've been a political animal most of my life. Never been a member of a political party. I was going to join Reform last week until all this shenanigans went on, and now I can no longer do it. I was a local councillor for 8 years. I've seen Liberal, Tories and Labour fight in the council chamber. I've also seen them have meetings before a meeting to decide what to do and carve up committees between themselves. I didn't like what was going on. You could almost write the script when a problem came up, how they would solve it, what the Tories would do, what Labour would do, and what the Liberal Democrats would do. It wasn't what was best for the village or the town as it is now. What was best for the town? It was what was best for the party. Who could put their stamp on it and say it was them? I did not like the division within the parties. I thought that if you had a problem, you could solve it. I'm an engineer. I make things. I get things that are broken and repair them. I get something, I find out how it works, and then decide how I repair it. I don't use left-wing or right-wing thinking to do it. It's the best solution for the job. And this is how and what I did when I went into politics. I was a councillor for, like I said, for 8 years. The first 4 years were brilliant. We had a Conservative MP and a Labour MP were best mates. Yeah, they were politically poles apart, but they said that what goes on in the town should be for the town, whatever the politics are. And they represented the town in the local council association. And they got on great, and we did a lot of good in the first 4 years. The chairman was a lawyer. Now, I'm not an orator. I'm not a politician. But I would say things as I saw it. And the political animals didn't get what I was saying. But the chairman would turn up and say, hang on a minute, Ian's right, and explain what I was saying in political language. Almost like an interpreter, even though I'm speaking English. And we got on great. The last 4 years were a disaster. The tariff, when you've got a precept when you're at local council, and you have so much money from the houses in your area. They were building houses at 100 at a time in those fields and in those fields, and we were expanding. Therefore, the money that the council got, the percentage of the council tax, went up. So we would budget in October, November, and we would find by May, June that we had more money than we budgeted for. And they were trying to find things to spend money on. Labour thought that was brilliant. The Conservatives wanted to hold back, save some of the money, and wait until something came up that they needed to spend it on. Labour just wanted to spend it all and get rid of it all out the door. And that's what we see with government. The Tories, Labour and Liberal. And we now find they're the same. They might say things slightly different, but there ain't a lot to choose from them. At the last election, I said you couldn't put a fag packet between the Tories and Labour. That's why I supported reform. I thought we got a chance. They're saying what I'm thinking. I thought they were on my side. But hey, they've gone the same way as all the rest of them. I don't know why. I think it's dark forces behind the scenes. I don't think it's purely Nigel Farage. I think Nigel Farage should stand up and lead and say, hang on a minute, this ain't right. You know, we can't fight amongst ourselves, we've got to sort this out. And embrace people. Not let them go because they might be more popular than you. You know, or they might have said something out of turn. You know, we all say something out of turn every now and again. But there's no need to blow it out of all proportion just to get rid of the guy. Or was that the whole plan to start with? You know, we need a political party with people with different ideas. I said it in my last video. We need a party that mostly agrees with each other. And we give the members the right to disagree, to have a different point of view. You wouldn't allow a member to vote against you, but you would allow them to abstain. And if you're going to start a new party, which they're now talking about, all that does is split that right of centre vote, which is going to play into the hands of the left-wing Tories and the Marxist Labour Party. That's all it's going to do. We need a coalition. We need UKIP. We need Lawrence Fox. I know some people don't like him, but Tommy Robinson, he's got a lot of supporters to bring along. And the Reform Party. We need them to get together to form a coalition. I said that Reform should have a memorandum of understanding. Well, they should have a memorandum of understanding. And the understanding would be that you have support in certain areas and you then support that candidate. And it might be one or two parties. So you've got a coalition. And if you can get enough seats in Parliament, you then become the government. I'm not asking for parties to split up. I'd like to see them as one party, and Reform could have done that. But they've just pushed everybody aside. You've got to decide what you agree on. Now, we can all decide that, like Trump says American first, we can also decide that it's Britain first. Great Britain first. And we want to put the great back into Britain. That's that simple. We can all agree with that. Next thing is, we've got to control our borders. Then we can be a sovereign state. Foreign powers should not be able to rule over us. It's in our Constitution. If you read the Bill of Rights, it says that no foreign power, kingdom, princedom should have jurisdiction over us. So it's in our Constitution. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's not being right-wing. It's not being fascist. It's in our Constitution. And people have got to understand this. We have a Constitution, all this, oh, we haven't got a Bill of Rights. We haven't got a Constitution. We have a Constitution. Our Constitution is written in a number of Acts of Parliament. We have the Magna Carta. We have 2 or 3 liberties of the Subject Acts. It says that franchises well used should be upheld. And that's even before we got to the Bill of Rights. Then we have the Declaration of Rights in 1688. We got the Bill of Rights in 1689. We got the Act of Settlement in 1700. And in 1700 we also got, I've got to try to remember what it is. In 1700 we got habeas corpus, which is a very important act. We have those rights. We have to read them, understand them, and put that at the heart of the new party, that it's going to uphold our Constitution. It's not rocket science. It's not political shenanigans. It's plain, honest, common sense truth. Things that are happening now are terrible. Labour Party's got so many members. Starmer's acting like a dictator. Starmer and the Labour Party are the people we should be fighting, not ourselves. If we get this memorandum of understanding, like I said, we got the Constitution, which we can agree on. We've got protecting our borders. That would stop the boat people. No problem. Maybe some of the boat people might like to go home. We would withdraw support for them. If they can afford £5,000 to cross the channel, they can afford their own hotel fees. That's what I think. Anyway, something to argue with. Then you've got taxation. Now I feel we ought to lower taxation to give us and you more money in your pocket. Then you can go and spend it on what you like, and you pay tax on what you buy. We used to have a purchase tax, and purchase tax was something like 13.5%. But you had a luxury tax, it was 25%. Now we got this VAT and it's 20% across the board. One of the principles that we had is that we should not tax food. So what do we have? Now we have VAT on hot food in hotels and fish and chip shops. I would like to see that removed. Part of the memorandum, we can get rid of that. I think most of us would agree. Then you have net zero. Net zero is a scam. I was a member of the Civil Service Union. I was fighting for my members. And I was working with real socialists. But I was supporting our members if they had a problem. I had 2 girls. I think one was Pakistani and one was Indian origins. They lived in Bristol. They had arranged marriages. And I was asked to represent them. What can we do? They were in my constituency, if you like, in my unit. So I got hold of the senior Labour advisor, got up to London, and we got the female refuge in Bristol. They might have had to move to another city. Oh, we sorted all that out for them so that they could be safe if they didn't want to go through an arranged marriage. In the end, one of them, the parents met the kid, didn't like him, and put the squashes on it. Now she's marrying the guy that she wants, which is the same ethnic group that she is, and she's happy. The other one met the guy and ended up marrying him and said he is brilliant. So all ended well. But this is the sort of things that I've done in my life. I've been a councillor, I've been a union member. I was on an NGO, the Deer Initiative, looking at problems with the population of deer in the country. I was on that for 10 years. And during that time, I used to go up on the train, get a ticket, go up on the train, get a taxi or the underground, go to the meeting, and we had wonderful times. One weekend, the Climate Gate emails came out. Now there was a unit in the University of East Anglia doing the climate models. And the emails were released. They were leaked or stolen. I don't know, one or the other. But we got the emails. And we went down all through the emails. I took 2 hours going to London, going through all the emails on my laptop. And the impression I had was that the scientists were cooking the books. They were rigging the figures. They were deciding how much they could add on and how much they could take off to get a straight line. And that's where we got the hockey stick from. They inflated the modern day figures and they squashed the medieval warm period. It was just a little bump, not a big bump like it should have been. That led me to find out that you couldn't trust scientists. So net zero is a scam, and it's been a scam from the start. I think to start with it was done to tax us on carbon, so governments could have something else to tax us to get more money. And now it's turned into this green blob thing. And they want you all to use electric cars, which is going to cost more CO2 than if you didn't. And they want you all to go electric. And if we all went electric, the power stations couldn't hold it and we'd have blackouts. So I think we can put that on the referendum that we get rid of net zero. Bump. If you want an electric car, go ahead and buy one. You know, my wife was talking about having an electric car. And I said, well, check with the insurance and see if it would affect the insurance on the house. The insurance would not let us put an electric charger in the garage because the garage is in the house. We would have to have it on the outside, and if we had it on the outside we couldn't get to the car. It was complicated. So we didn't get an electric. Thank God I didn't. And I had to charge the car a certain distance away from the house to get house insurance. And if I was close to the house, then the house insurance would be doubled. because of the risk of fires by EVs. I didn't get an EV, thank God. So let's scrap this net zero rubbish. Now, I've got solar panels on the roof, and they're making me, on average, £11 a week. Got no problems with that. If you're an isolated farm and you want to put a small windmill up, no problem at all. Battery units, that's up to you. But to make it mandatory throughout the whole country, bad idea. So we can all agree on getting rid of net zero. We can all agree on closing the borders and sorting that out. We can all agree on lower taxation. And there's other things that we've got to think about. I now find a friend of mine says farmers have got to pay a emissions tax on each car. And there he said, it's a fart tax for cows. And I said, you ridiculous. So we can scrap that and we can all agree on that. Also, the farmers' inheritance tax can go. The security that's put on iPhones has been scrapped by our government so that they can read what everybody's doing. We can put that back on. I think that was wrong. You know, there's things that we can agree with. And if we can get this memorandum of understanding, we can then come together and fight the Labour Party. Have our own candidates. If Reform ends up wanting to join us, they've got to sign up to the memorandum of understanding. And it's them to come with us, not for us to go to them. You know, I'm talking another party. I didn't want one. I didn't want it to happen. But that's what we're going to end up with. Anyway, I think I've said enough. Screamed and shouted, had a rant. All I want to do is make sure that you know what our Constitution says. Because even lawyers don't know what they are. I said to one lawyer that I'm a hunter. I go shooting, I go fishing. I also, years ago, had ferrets to do pest control on rabbits. And the government, being lobbied by the animal rights movement, wanted to ban snares. And we use what's called purse nets. And they've been used since the Middle Ages. May have been used before, but we've got pictures of them being used in the Middle Ages. They're like fishing nets, and they catch the rabbits. And then you knock the rabbit on the head, Bob's your uncle. I said they were classed as snares and it would affect my ferreting. I was at a big rally with hunt staff and that. There was two guys on horseback with red coats on and caps, all very posh. And I had a ferret nest round me and a box that said I love ferrets on. I didn't have any ferrets because it wouldn't have been right to carry a ferret around all day. They were left at home. And this one guy said, "Thank you very much for supporting us." He thought I was only there for the hunting. I said, no, if this bill goes through to ban hunting and snares, these purse nets are classed as snares in law. That's what I said. Anyway, this other guy next to him says, well, he is right. And the other guy looked at him and said, well, Judge, you should know. So I got judicial review on one of my things that I was right. And that's another thing we can all agree on. As long as you're doing country sports legally, the country should support you. It's done for pest control. It's done for providing food. And that's one of my big things, is hunting, shooting and fishing. You know. But if one of the party members decides they don't like it, that's up to them, and they got the right to say no. But they shouldn't be thrown out of the party because they agree with everything else we say. Anyway, if there's anybody out there starting another party and going to get all the centre-right parties together as a coalition, count me in. I want to be part of that. And I'm afraid at the moment it isn't reform, which they should have done. They could have done it under Nigel Farage. They shouldn't be having a civil war between themselves. Anyway, Ian, Somerset News Network. I think I've said enough. I've just looked at the time. God. I'm not a politician, but I can talk. Kissed the Blarney Stone when I was a kid, that's why. Bye bye.